Good afternoon, everybody. Anthony Aniano here with your 2023 Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Report. The early look at the waiver wire for Week 6 of your fantasy football season. Folks, don't forget, head over to RotoBaller.com right now and sign up for that premium pass and take advantage of all the great content at RotoBaller.com, including team sync tools, lineup optimizers, waiver wire reports, trade analysis, you name it. RotoBaller.com has you covered. Use the promotional code ACES and save at checkout. Like and subscribe right here to the RotoBaller YouTube channel and download the RotoBaller app. It's free. 6 great sports right in the palm of your hand. Premium packages are included in that. Season-long DFS, whatever it is you're interested in, RotoBaller.com has you covered. All right, everybody, we're just about 5 weeks in the book. I'm sitting here Monday before the Monday night game, as we always do for editing reasons. Come at you for that waiver wire. So obviously, if anything happens between the Packers and the Raiders later today, okay, things can change. So be mindful of that. In Week 6, we have 2 teams on a bye Week 6. The Green Bay Packers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, both getting Week 6 off. We had injuries in Week 5. The quarterback position, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. Wide receivers, including Zay Jones, Tank Dell, and the big one, obviously, Justin Jefferson and his hamstring. Travis Kelce rolled an ankle, came back into the game at the tight end position. Khalil Herbert, they said, is going to be out a few weeks after getting hurt on Thursday night. James Conner injured his knee and did not come back in the game. So between those injuries and some bye weeks, we have some positions to fill. So let's start at the quarterback position. My number one quarterback ad of the week, Sam Howell of the Washington Commanders. I mentioned him last week. We really need to start paying more attention to Sam Howell. On Yahoo, remember, we try to use Yahoo roster percentages, keeping it at 50% rostered and less. So Sam Howell fits that mold, and he's sitting at 34% rostered. Okay, in that Thursday night game against the Bears where Washington got beat up, no denying that, and Howell forced to throw, but he did finish with 388 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, 34.4 fantasy points in a 6-point per touchdown format. Okay, he's got 20 or more fantasy points, again, 6-point per TD format, in every game this week except for Week 3. Sam Howell proving to be a fantasy asset. Next week, he goes up against the Atlanta Falcons. If you're looking deeper than that at the quarterback position, Bryce Young had his best game as a professional for the Carolina Panthers. 247 yards and 3 touchdown passes, 24.3 fantasy points. He's only 10% rostered. Next week, he's going to have to throw to keep up. Okay, make him a little bit tempting as Carolina goes up against the Miami Dolphins. In deeper formats in 2 QB leagues, also take a look at Gardner Minshew, who could be potentially filling in as we find out more about the Anthony Richardson injury, and Tyrod Taylor would be next up for the San Francisco Giants if Daniel Jones and his neck injury causes him to miss a significant amount of time. Now, at the running back position, Rashawn Johnson is the top running back to add, although be mindful of the fact that he also left Thursday night's game against Washington early due to a concussion. However, Rashawn Johnson, 41% rostered, would be next in line now with Khalil Herbert missing some time. On the season, Rashawn Johnson, 25 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown, 11 catches on 12 targets. Backing him up, and also somebody to put a claim in on, is Deontay Foreman, who's had success in the league. No doubt about that. He's only 7% rostered. He's only had 5 carries on the season. However, if Chicago wants to split the workload between Rashawn Johnson, or if Rashawn Johnson's not cleared in time for Week 6, Deontay Foreman would be next up for the Bears ground game. Both, obviously, Bears are playing the Minnesota Vikings in Week 6. Another running back to be mindful of is Amari DiMercado of the Arizona Cardinals, who came in for James Conner after injuring his knee yesterday. He's 1% rostered. Played well, 4.5 yards per carry, 10 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Had a 12-yard reception as well, 12.7 fantasy points. Keontae Ingram is technically the backup running back for the Arizona Cardinals, but he's been out as well with a neck injury on the season, 12 carries for 15 yards. Both of those Arizona Cardinal running backs are 1% rostered. Arizona faces the Rams next week. At the wide receiver position, and this is a strong week for wide receivers and tight ends, at the wide receiver position, Josh Downs of the Indianapolis Colts, 9% rostered, has his best game of his rookie season. 6 catches on 6 targets, 97 yards, 15.7 fantasy points. He's got 21 targets and 16 receptions over his last 3 games. I'll sign up for 7 targets per game for a rookie on a team that is looking for a solid wide receiver 2 opposite Michael Pittman and could, in theory, throw maybe a little bit more with Gardner Minshew under center. Indianapolis going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars next week. KJ Osborne of the Minnesota Vikings, next man up for the Vikings. If Justin Jefferson misses some time, he would be opposite Jordan Addison. Okay, Minnesota has shown the ability, Kirk Cousins has shown the ability to get the ball to 2 different wide receivers, with Justin Jefferson being the alpha and Jordan Addison being the beta, but Addison another touchdown yesterday. So KJ Osborne and Jordan Addison can still get work done. Osborne yesterday, 5 catches, 49 yards on 9 targets against Chicago, where Sam Howell, we know, just threw for 388. KJ Osborne only 9% rostered. And then finally at the wide receiver position, Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. I hyped him on the sleeper and value play video. He hit. He got in the end zone. Rashee Rice starting to emerge as the favorite wide receiver of Patrick Mahomes. Not favorite overall receiver. We know that's Travis Kelce. But Rashee Rice, 39% rostered. He's got 3 games this season now with 10 or more fantasy points, 4 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown in Week 5, 13.3 fantasy points. And again, it's against that Denver defense. We know we can abuse that Bronco defense at this point in the season. And finally, if you're concerned about Travis Kelce, Pat Freiermuth is out for the Steelers, whatever it may be, if you're looking for tight end help, 2 tight ends to be mindful of on the waiver wire. Logan Thomas of the Washington Commanders has been steady all year, not dynamic, but steady. And then in Week 5 had a dynamic game with 9 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown on 11 targets. He's only 15% rostered. Before he blew out his ACL a few years back, Logan Thomas was a top 12 tight end. Blew out his ACL. He's now coming back and looking better and better every week with Sam Howell at quarterback. Going up against Atlanta, Logan Thomas finished this week with 20.7 fantasy points. And Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. I liked him as a safety net for C.J. Stroud. He's got a TD, a touchdown in each of his last 2 games, does Dalton Schultz. 36% rostered. 7 catches, 65 yards on 10 targets in Week 5, including that touchdown. 19.5 fantasy points. Tough matchup for that Houston offense, though, against that Saints defense. So to summarize, my top 5 waiver wire ads for Week 6 of the fantasy football season. Number 5, Sam Howell, quarterback, Washington Commanders. Number 4, Rashee Rice, wide receiver, Kansas City Chiefs. At number 3, KJ Osborne, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings. Number 2, Josh Downs, wide receiver, Indianapolis Colts. And my number 1 ad for Week 6 of your fantasy football season is Rashawn Johnson, running back, Chicago Bears. All right, everybody, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe right here to RotoBaller's YouTube channel. Give me a follow on Twitter at @ANianoFantasy. And we'll see you next time right here on RotoBaller Radio.